chameleon flakes on fully cured resin. And see, it just doesn't want to stick. Watch this. Now this, I wish I'd known about this from the beginning. Right, we are back with another epic resin art video. I've already filmed this once. I filmed this yesterday, and I had a bit of a clear up in my gallery last night, and it appears that I deleted a whole video. So here we go again, guys. I've got to repeat. But the thing is, there's not going to be that element of surprise now, because I already know this is going to work, which is a shame. But we're here now. We've got to do it again. So will UV resin cure in this Seahorse fondant mold? Yes, it does. I already know it does with the beast of a lamp. I can't say it's going to work with every lamp, but I'm only really using UV resin just to speed things up, because especially now I've lost the day, I really do need to be quick. But yeah, the element of surprise was that the UV resin cures in this mold really, really nicely, actually. But yeah, the element of surprise has now left the building. But I'm kind of glad this has happened, because I've had a couple of viewers give me some advice or tips, hacks, whatever you want to call them, on a couple of my videos, and one came up on the octopus video last night, and it's going to save quite a bit of resin actually in the long run, I suppose, and a lot of time. And as much as you know, I hate this word, and I really dislike using it, especially in my titles and thumbnails. I've used it once or twice maybe. But yeah, I don't like saying it. These little hacks are absolute game changers. It pains me to say it. It really does, but they are. So if you're following me on the other short video platforms, you would have seen a video of this already. I'm just going to do the same thing again. But yeah, the results are absolutely incredible. So for this one, we are using the UV resin from Resin Markers Clear Hard. Again, just be patient, unlike me. Use epoxy. Unless you've got the beast of a lamp, which you will know that you can, then I'm not saying this won't work with other brand lamps. But since using the beast, I have found that I can kind of get away with a lot more stuff with UV resin than I could before. What I'm going to do, I'm going to fill them all up. I haven't tried the small ones yet, so it'd be interesting to see if those cure. So we have some element of surprise in the video, because I really don't think they will work, because the channels are so small. But we'll find out. I'm going to fill them all up. Okay, so if you get this mold, just be careful of trapped bubbles. There is so much detail in this mold, it's incredible. You need to just work over, especially the eyes, because that's one of the places where you're guaranteed to get a bubble. But just check all of the fine details for bubbles and just get them all out. And this mold, it's not made for resin, it's a fondant mold. This was about £6. I think it's about $6 or $7 US. It's in the description box if you do decide to get it, but it has got some incredible detail. It's really lifelike. Okay, it is now time to cure these under the beast. Now I've put the mirror underneath. The light is not going to be able to penetrate through the mold, but the mirror is going to help, because the inside of the unit is also mirrored, so it's just going to bounce the light around a bit more. And you can see at the back is where the main concentration of UV power is. It's important to make sure, if you're using this lamp, that the mold is as far back and underneath the most powerful part of the lamp to get a good cure. And I'm going to put these on under my lamp for 120 seconds at full power, which is 48 watts. Okay, so those have had a couple of minutes. Really not sure about these small ones. It's looking okay so far. Has it cured? See, we've got these really intricate points. That is pretty perfect. I over poured the resin, or it might have been where I moved my mold, but that just needs trimming back. The detail is phenomenal. So these are made from 3D prints. You can see the lines, tiny lines, which add to the natural look of the Seahorse. But you can see they have cured. But again, just use epoxy. It's just quick and easy. Now, the hacks. One viewer on the octopus video, Ms. TJ Pink, said that she'd watched a video where a creator had sprayed isopropyl on the back of their fully cured resin, which helped when you're brushing flakes or powders, it helped it bond, because ordinarily what we'd have to do is put a thin skim coat of UV resin over the back, flash cure it, which makes it tacky, to then allow or give a good adhesion of the powders or the flakes. Another viewer a few videos back mentioned a very similar thing with basically the same thing, but using a silicone release spray. So what we are going to do is try one with one Seahorse and one with the other. Oh, almost forgot this little guy. As always, massive shout out to my channel members, anyone who's bought me a coffee or a super thanks, very, very much appreciated, and to all the channel subs. And the good thing about these is that they're facing opposite directions, so they would make good matching pairs, like earrings if you wanted to. It's entirely up to you. These might be a bit big for earrings, I don't know. I don't wear big earrings, so it's down to you. But they could be pendants. What you might want to do though is just take a file and file some of these down, because I can imagine those will get stuck on like woolen jumpers, or they could be quite painful. Yeah, quite spiky. Right, so just to show you, in case you've never tried this, chameleon flakes on fully cured resin. And see, it just doesn't want to stick, doesn't adhere, which is a pain, because the amount of times over the years where I've had to skim coat it to get this to work, I mean, it's pretty much every time I use a chameleon powder or a nail powder. Now, I've got some isopropyl on my tissue here, and I'm just going to rub that all over the back. Make sure everything's touched. I don't know whether you've ever tried to clean a piece of UV resin after demolding it with alcohol, and it kind of goes a bit matte and sticky and hazy and kind of ruins the piece. I know I've done it. This makes sense. Watch this. Now this, I wish I'd known about this from the beginning. It's absolutely crazy, and this will work with powders or flakes. It is incredible. I'm wasting a bit of powder here. Flakes, not powder. But look, no more having to put a thin layer of UV resin on your pieces to get your flakes to stick. Using more resin, you don't need to. Just a bit of isopropyl. It is absolutely incredible. Look. So that one we've just done was the fuchsia from the Let's Resin Chameleon set. We're going to do this one with the release spray, and we're going in with a green. So this one was recommended by Angel Ortega, another regular channel viewer. So thank you both, guys. What I need to know is where you saw this, because they need to be credited. I definitely need to put that in the description box. So yeah, if you can let me know, that would be brilliant. So I'm just going to let that silicone release spray dry. What I'm wondering though is whether that's going to interfere with the bonding of the layers. But what I can see, a good positive with this is the release spray. If you was to place a stencil over cured epoxy, spray the release spray over the stencil, let it dry, peel the stencil away. You could then dust just certain areas of your epoxy, and then you can pour your second layer on, which the bond will happen around the stencil area, so you've got no worry of any bond issues. That is such a unique way of being able to layer your colors or powders in epoxy that we couldn't do before unless it was tacky enough, you know. And you've really got to keep your eye on the ball with stuff like that. With this, it just opens up a whole new window of ways, especially with epoxy. The alcohol hack won't work on epoxy. Only the silicone release spray will. I'm hoping that I've given that enough time to dry. I'm going to take the green. I don't think I let it dry enough, but I'm committed. I'm just going to keep going. You can see it sticking. I should let it dry a bit longer, I think. But I'm just going to carry on. You can see the brush is kind of pulling the spray. But I suppose I could always give it a second coat. Let that dry and do it again. So you can see it looks patchy, but when you turn it to the light, it is covered. Just not as good as the alcohol version in my opinion. But when you flip it over with a black background, you're not going to see that patchiness, hopefully. It's incredible. Absolutely incredible. Okay, now to just back them with the two with the fuchsia colour, I'm going to go with a white background. Look at that colour though. And we are going to make these pop even more. We're not going to keep it just like that. We're going to add some really good detail into these. And here we have the green, which I'm going to go with. I don't know whether to go with a white on that one as well. I don't think I've used a white background with the green before. Yeah, we'll go with that and just see what happens. So for that, I'm just going to mix in a small amount of my homemade white pigment paste into my UV resin and back them. The tricky thing is with these is they're not level when you lay them down. So I'm just going to rest mine on a cup or something. You'll find a better way. I think this pyramid mold works better. Now just be careful, you don't want it spilling over the sides or falling over. But what I could have done is kept them in the mold and done the tests in the mold. But the trouble is, when you're adding a background, if there's any gaps, it can seep down and get underneath the resin and cause issues. Okay, these are backed, and I'm not going to lie, these little ones were an absolute pain to back because they are so small and the resin just wanted to pull away from the edges. So I don't know, I don't think I'm going to continue with the smaller ones for the video, but they do look really, really nice. I'm really impressed with the detail on those. But with the big ones, so this was the patchy one with the silicone release spray. If I take my hand away, you can still see those patches. I wish I'd gone with the black background like I said, but in certain lights you can't see it. See, if I hold my glove behind, you can't really see the patchiness either. So, but it's done now. I'm just going to continue. So what I'm going to do is just add some refraction effects to these, and I'll show you what I'm going to do. And these really make the colors pop and intensify even more and gives them a totally different vibe. But I'm amazed at this alcohol, especially the alcohol trick. I've tried to peel away the backing from this one. It doesn't seem to have made any difference to it whatsoever. So I think the heat process during the curing removes the worry of the silicone release spray affecting the layering. But I definitely think I need to experiment more with the release spray, especially on epoxy, and try and see if we can come up with new ways of layering the epoxy using the release spray with possibly stencils and things like that. So just to give you a close-up of the colouring at the moment, and then you can see it once I'm done. So in this small cup, just going to pour some of my UV resin. And get my stick, and we're just going to highlight areas, especially underneath these ridges. So all I'm doing is dragging it under that lip and down the back, and I'll do that on each one, and you'll see once it's cured. I'm going to use my flashlight just to cure the areas and move on, and I'm going to do that on all of these ridges. You can see what a difference that is making to the piece, and I'm going to repeat doing down the front, and then I'm just going to do the fins. Do it any way you want. Okay, we're all done. As always, give the video a thumbs up, drop me a comment. If you haven't subbed, hit that button for me, it is free. The green chameleon flake, the effects didn't really show as much. You can just see it. The color shift is absolutely incredible. And you can just drill a hole in these, or you can stick them to things, stick them to whatever you want, turn them into key rings, magnets, whatever you want. But just again, be cautious of the sharp areas. I definitely need to play around more with this backing technique. The colors are absolutely stunning. I rushed that one, as you can tell. So the fuchsia one, the colors really do show through a lot more, and that effect under. But it's up to you. I mean, if you wanted to, you could just glaze the whole thing. But I wanted that kind of matte with the shiny in certain areas. It gives it that kind of glass effect. But it is stunning. So I did make another one where at the time I didn't know about this alcohol thing. And there is a difference in the vibrancy. This is exactly the same color. So you do lose a little bit of the intensity, but it's the first time I've tried it. I'll definitely play around with that more. But you can see we have lost some color intensity. But the detailing on these molds is absolutely incredible. See, I drilled through just that part and attached a bail, and it does hang perfectly. So there you go. Hope you enjoyed that one. Glad I salvaged, well, I didn't really salvage it, I had to start again, but we got there in the end. We've got the cute little ones. If you wanted to turn those into earrings, again, you might be better off going through, drilling through the back fin here to attach the earring hardware. But you can play around with that. I actually prefer the green on the smaller version of this one. I love the way the belly kind of highlights with that pinky purple. It's absolutely gorgeous. Right, I will see you for the next one. Bye for now.